Boker Tov, good morning here in Jerusalem. I want to thank Ron Lauder for the hospitality, Robert Zinger, and Shela Safra for the welcome. Slept 1 hour tonight because we just had municipal elections and we made history. Today, the Beit Yehudi party has more spots in the country than any other party in Israel. So in terms of grassroots, we did it. And our focus is the periphery, the Galil and the Negev, the Galilee and the Negev. So spent the night in Kiryat Malachi, better known as Los Angeles, Kiryat Malachi, and also Sderot, which is on the border of the Gaza Strip, where one of our representatives has become the new mayor, Alon Davidi, a young, very talented individual. And it's very good news for Sderot, which has been hit by thousands of rockets. But what's nice about Alon Davidi, he doesn't whine, he does. And there have been times where Sderot took an approach of complaining, and I think he's a more self-reliant type of mayor. So all of this is good news. Some of us know each other, but most don't. So I'll just tell you why I'm here, why I came into politics to begin with. What's the story? So as Hela talked about, I founded a high-tech company, sold it for almost $150 million. And that's the point when you're supposed to be in the Caribbean drinking a cocktail with those little umbrellas. And instead, the Second Lebanon War erupted. And I found myself deep in Lebanon. And it was a defining moment for me. And I want to explain. So I'm 41 years old. My generation, who grew up in the 80s, had a very standard youth. You know, we watched the same lousy TV shows that folks in the States did, had the same fast food that folks in the States had. I had a regular childhood. My childhood was not defined by the Yom Kippur War. I was born in 72, didn't experience it. So in fact, my whole generation never experienced firsthand an existential threat. From our perspective, Israel is taken for granted. Moreover, we grew up on the peace songs, Shir LaShalom, Tnu La Shemesh La'alot, all these songs, and all the idea that if we try enough, we'll have peace. And by and large, it's a matter of negotiation. There's land disputes, what have you. Suddenly in the Second Lebanese War, by the way, the first time I fought in combat but had a child, it's a whole different ballgame when you're in the military, and it's one thing to lead soldiers into combat. It's a whole different ballgame when I had my firstborn child. Yoni was just about 1 year old, and my wife was pregnant with Michal, my second. It's different. Now I understand why they recruit us at 18 and not at 22 or 25. But in Lebanon, I asked myself, so what do these guys want? What's the deal with Hezbollah? What's your story? Do they have any territorial claim? No. They don't want Kiryat Shmone. They're not saying, if you just give us Metula, we'll strike a peace deal. And I realized something that it's almost a duh moment. They don't want us here. They don't want us here regardless of what we do. It has nothing to do with a piece of land. It has to do with Jews being in Israel to begin with. And I also saw our failure. We have to speak candidly. The IDF did not succeed in Lebanon. And I felt that it wasn't a matter of tactics or weapons or logistics, as some claim. It was a matter of fighting spirit. Something was wrong. Something was broken. And then I decided to leave the high-tech career, which I still have a lot of passion for high-tech. I'd choose in a nanosecond to go back to build another company, but to join and help Benjamin Netanyahu, who was then opposition leader, who I very much believed in, and I still admire. I think he's a good prime minister for Israel, with all our disagreements, and man, we do have disagreements. But, and I joined him as chief of staff, and long story short, in the previous elections, I competed for the head of the Jewish Home Party, which historically was the party of the Datiim, of the religious. It used to have 12 seats, then down to 9, 7, 6, 3, and according to all polls, it was going to evaporate. And when I came to the public in the primaries, I competed against the existing establishment. My message was the following: do we Datiim still need a lobby party? Historically, the Mafdal, the National Religious Party, was the lobby party of the Datiim, of the religious. Do we still need it? I can run a company with 120 employees. I can command a platoon or a company in the army with 90 soldiers that are mostly secular. We can educate, we can be in agriculture, we can be in economy, but suddenly in politics, we need this little lobby party to lobby for another synagogue or another mikveh. Is that what we're about? And what I suggested and offered to the public was no. We don't need a lobby party anymore. We don't need a babysitter anymore. We've got a mission, and the mission is to restore the Jewish identity to Israel. And then we opened, for the first time in 100 years of the party's history, we opened the party up to secular folks, and oh my God, a secular woman. I mean, that's really scary. Her name is Ayelet Shaked. She ran in the primaries, and lo and behold, she came in second place. She came in second place. The Datiim elected a Chilonit, a secular woman, to be in second place. And I can tell you, yesterday, the results were phenomenal. All around the country, all of our lists were mixed. So the Jewish party is no longer the party of the Datiim. It's the party of all of Am Yisrael, of everyone. And we have a mission. Yes, we do. The mission is to restore our Jewish identity. So I'm a bit, though I didn't sleep, I'm compensated by the excitement from the result. We really did make history, and we've got lots of good folks. I'm Minister of Diaspora, and we need to reinvent our relationship. Typically, the diaspora was a wallet and a source for aliyah to Israel. And we needed it. We did need this wallet, and we'd always send, and still we need some degree of help, but really not much. We're doing okay, and I'll talk about economy very soon. We need a new model, and I've got more questions than answers. We have to think about this in partnership. Until now, it was sort of binary. If you're a citizen of Israel, you have a say in Israel. If you're not, you don't. Maybe this should change. Maybe a 21-year-old living in Omaha, Nebraska, 21-year-old Jew, living in Omaha, maybe he has some linkage to Israel. Maybe he has some say. Because Israel, many in Israel don't get it. Israel is two things. It's the state of its citizens, the Arabs, the Jews, the Christians, it's the Druze, but it's also the state that belongs to all Jews in the world. And how do we manifest this? How do we effect this? And that's why in the coalition talks, after I received the portfolio of economy, which is certainly central, I fought very aggressively to get to be the minister of diaspora, because that's my identity. My own parents made Aliyah before I was born from San Francisco. In fact, interestingly, the Yom Kippur War, which was a national trauma, ironically, it's what kept my parents in Israel. They made Aliyah after the Six-Day War, but it was tough. It was very tough. My parents were secular from San Francisco, Temple Emmanuel, and my mom was having a tough time, getting the language and the Israeli rules. Israel has a unique physical rule. if an elevator opens, you can actually enter the elevator before the people leave the elevator, and somehow it works. It's one of those miracles. And in Israel, we don't appreciate people who let us follow through our whole sentence. You have to stop the other side midway. You have to interrupt. So it was tough for my mom, and they were already back in San Francisco when the Yom Kippur War started, and then my dad flew back to Israel and fought during the war and was stuck in Israel for half a year, and then we came back and stayed for good. Otherwise, I may have been Mark Zuckerberg. So what are our goals? Certainly the main threat is assimilation. We're losing, this is no secret, we're losing hundreds of thousands of Jews to assimilation. And, my mission in life in 2 words is Netzach Yisrael, the perpetuation of the Jewish people. That's what I breathe, that's what I live for. And our goals, therefore, are to strengthen the Jewish identity of Jews around the world, to create a sense that does not exist enough on both sides of peoplehood, of Klal Yisrael, that we're one. And I can tell you that, unfortunately, Israelis today don't have a strong enough bond towards Jews abroad. And finally, to have the Jews around the world feel that Israel is at the core. So it's a whole new relationship. And there's a lot I can learn and we can learn from you. I want to tell you one story of a profound lesson that I learned from diaspora and I'm trying to import to Israel. So I married Gilat. She's secular, born in a secular moshav. We got married and, she got closer to Yadut, to Judaism, but it was slow. And I moved to New York for what turned out to be 4.5 years when I founded my high-tech company. The marketing and business was in New York. One day we walk on the street on 85th Street in Manhattan, and we see a sign. The sign is, "Are you tired of going to the beach? Are you fed up with playing volleyball? Come to the beginner's minyan." So it sounded interesting. We went to the beginner's minyan. At KJ, there was a small classroom. This nice guy, his name was George. Don't know who this guy is. And we came. There were about 7 or 8 participants in the tefillah. It was separate, but, no. And so nicely he explained Shabbat after Shabbat, one Shabbos after another. He told us what the Parshat Shavua is, what the tefillah is about, an Orthodox service. And gradually Gilat got closer to Yadut. And for years we came. So of all places, we had to fly to America for Gilat to get closer to Yadut. And the secret of this minyan was no questions asked. Everyone is welcome. We don't measure you by the size of the kippah, by the color. Are you light? Are you khardali, which is national religious? Are you ultra-religious? Are you ultra? Everyone's invited. No questions asked. There are hardly any beginners minyans in Israel because here everyone's in a category, everyone's in a compartment. If this is a bit bigger, then it means I belong to some sect. That's what we need to learn from you, and I'm doing my very best to do it. One initial example is Azarat Yisrael at the Western Wall. I'll tell you the story. You all know about in fact, you know better than the Israelis what a big area of contention the Kotel has been. Haredim, women of the wall, fighting all day. What we did, Sharansky came up with his compromise, but it was still an idea. And instead of talking about this for another 5 years, one night I told my people, go build it. Go build it. Go set it up. Go set up a third plaza. Until now, there was the men's, the women's, which was about third the size. I don't know why. and there was no third option. So I didn't bring it to government for an approval. I didn't bring it to the whole apparatus. We just built it. It took 4 days. It's beautiful, by the way. Go see it. It's embedded within the archaeology. It's on the same kotel, just about 100 feet south. The same kotel. There's only one kotel Ma'aravi, Western Wall. And it's open for everyone. No questions asked. Just like the beginner's minyan. Anyone can go. You want to have a bat mitzvah with your girl and you want to be together? Go. Your reform, go. No questions asked. And I'm getting heat from the ultra-Orthodox. It's okay. I'm getting hit from the women of the wall. It's not good enough. That's okay. When you get criticized from both sides, you know you're doing something right. So it's the first time since 1967 that you can just go freely and pray, and it's beautiful. So I do urge you, go back to your communities. You want to use the men's plaza, that's great. The women's, that's great. But also the Israel plaza, Azarat Israel. As I said, it's just on the other side of the entrance to Har HaBayit. The main things in our ministry, obviously we're continuing the wonderful Birthright and Masa programs. I want to tell you something that the Prime Minister and myself made a decision. You know, we undertook a 40 billion shekel budget cut. That's because we're a good government and we're willing to do unpopular things. But there was one item that I came to the Prime Minister and to the Minister of Finance, Yair Lapid, my brother, and I said, let's not touch this. Let's send a message to diaspora. We're not going to touch Taglit, and we didn't. It's the only item that we didn't cut. And not only that, we added a bit. It's not a lot, but the message was, diaspora is an inherent part of Am Yisrael, and we mean business, and we put our money where our mouths are. Finally, I want to share with you my vision for Israel's economy. We've got a very good economy. And I come from the high-tech sector. My vision for Israel's economy is Kalkalat Or Lagoyim. The 5 technologies that I'm focused on are all technologies that do good around the world. Water technologies, agriculture, alternative energy, cybersecurity, and medical devices. The logic is, I know that before me it was Tzipi Livni talking about the Palestinian stuff, etc., etc., etc. It's been 20 years, and we can argue about it again and again and again. You know what the worst thing about it is? It's boring. We go on and on and on. While good things are happening in the field between us and the Palestinians, we don't have much time to elaborate. Let's focus on doing good in the world. I want to show you what this economy is about. This is our new economy. This is a cucumber. A week and a half ago, I came back from India. I was on a model farm among dozens that we Israelis opened up in India for agriculture. At each of these farms, this was 2 hours north of Delhi, at this farm, 20,000 farmers a year come and are trained to use Israeli methodology and Israeli technologies like netafim, like greenhouses. And there was this wonderful Indian PhD. His name was Dr. Yadav, very smart guy. He told me that until 2 years ago, on every square meter, they grew 1 kilogram of cucumbers. And now, using our technologies, they're up to almost 10 kilograms, 9.5 kilograms, 10 kilograms of cucumbers. His new challenge is, how do we market it? What do we do with all these cucumbers? This is Israel's future. If we do this with water in Africa, if we do it with alternative energy in growing markets, if we do it with medical devices and save millions of lives, that's what Israel's about. Israel is a lighthouse in a storm. The Arab spring is turning into a Muslim winter. It started a couple of years ago, but it might be around for 50 years, and there's nothing we can do about it. We cannot influence what goes on in Pakistan, in Egypt, in Tunis, in Iran. So a lighthouse has strong foundations. You got to be strong. We've got a strong military. We've got a strong economy. We've got strong roots that go back 3,800 years, not 70 years to the Shoah, 3,800 years to Abraham. But that's only one side of the lighthouse. The second part, beyond the foundation of Torah, of economy, of strength, is to project light. Let's do it. Yesterday, we had a huge, it's still going on now, a huge water technology conference. We had ministers from all around the world, ministers and CEOs of companies from Africa, from India, all around, coming to learn from us. My ministry did that. We do it because that's the new diplomacy. How much can we talk about things that may not be solvable immediately? Let's do good. Let's do well. That's my vision for Am Yisrael. That's my vision for the state of Israel. We're a lighthouse in a storm, but we're going to project that light, and we're going to do a lot of good. Toda rabah.